Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bluff City Magazine, edition 27. I'm Amanda Avery, the editor-in-chief of Bluff City Magazine. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting with Councilman J.B. Smiley,
What's
who's
up, people?
also running for Shelby County Mayor.
That's a lot of editions, 27. So congratulations to that.
Thank you.
Pleasure to see you all. Looking forward to the conversation. Let's get it.
As many of you know, he has done quite a bit of work here in the city of Memphis, but we want to dig a little deeper and talk about his personal journey, some of his accomplishments, and his vision for Shelby County. So, Councilman J.B. Smiley,
Esquire. ESQ.
Esquire,
I've done a lot. I'm just playing.
attorney, councilman, let's see,
Author
author, yes, born to win,
and certified trash talker.
and certified trash talker. Oh, y'all, this is going to be a great episode. So I'm going to give it over to him, let him introduce himself the way he would like to do it, and tell the people
Want
about
to talk to you
himself.
or talk to the people?
Both.
Okay, we do both. We go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So J.B. Smiley Jr., native Memphian, grew up here.
Does JB stand for anything?
It depends on you ask. If you ask the lady named Lynette Whitney Williams, it stands for Jonathan Bentley. But if you ask my parents, it stands for nothing at all. J.B. Smiley Jr. My father was delivered by a midwife in Jonestown, Mississippi. So the folks didn't necessarily could read or write. So he got two letters. It's J.B. Smiley. So I'm the seed of what I consider a great man.
All right,
Very
wonderful,
humble.
wonderful. So let's talk about your professional background,
Okay.
a little bit more of your upbringing, and what shaped your desire to serve in public office.
Well, I can't really talk about myself without talking about the people who brought me here. So my mom grew up in a Fowler Home housing project. If you know where that is, it's in the poor zip code in the state of Tennessee, 38126. So the heart of Memphis, if you ask me, South Memphis, folks from North Memphis, Whitehaven, Fraser, don't hate because we know South Memphis is the heart. All right. And, she grew up with very humble beginnings. She went to LaRose Elementary, BTW, or as she would affectionately call it, Booker Washington. My father's similar background, but in a completely different area. Jonestown, Mississippi. He grew up picking cotton on H.M. Haney's plantation, walked to school, sometimes without shoes. And at some point, he decided that picking cotton wasn't going to be the way for him. He went to Chicago during the summers to make some money. And when he got enough money and graduated high school, he ended up going to Delta State University, where he was a part of the first class, black class to integrate that school. His name's on the wall outside the president's office. And, eventually moved to Memphis, met a pretty lady named Jackie Davis. And at some point in time, I came to be about, but they really stressed education. They stressed the importance of community and trying to figure out how we can make our community better to ultimately move it to a place that showed our people the love they thought. And, my upbringing put me in this position. So I spent a lot of time in my earlier days running from what I believe to be the path I'm on now. All I was saying then was ball was life. I grew up hooping, playing basketball. In 2005, I was named one of the best basketball players in Shelby County, made all Shelby Metro team, went to a school in Cookeville, Tennessee called Tennessee Tech University, stayed there 3 years, transferred to a school called Pikeville College, and then now University of Pikeville. Finished my collegiate career there. At this point in time, I kind of knew I was going to be a lawyer. So I worked at a law firm while I was in undergrad. I think my last 2 semesters, I took 23 credit hours. And then the last semester, I took 21 credit hours, graduated with a double major, did pretty good, played basketball 3 more years.
While you were in law school, you actually wrote a book, Born to Win.
Absolutely. So graduate undergrad, play basketball for 3 more years, then I go to law school in the University of Arkansas, Little Rock. Graduated in the top 30 of my law school class, picked up some pretty good honors. At the end of law school, I took the Arkansas bar first. And right after Arkansas bar, it was different. I decided to write a book in between the Arkansas bar and the Tennessee bar. So I took the Tennessee bar, passed it. So I passed the Arkansas bar on the first time, Tennessee bar on the first time. And, was happy to get home in 2017. Been at work ever since.
What inspired you to write Born to Win?
So I decided to write Born With It, Unleashing Your Greatness because, when I got to law school, I got a job at a law firm called the Rose Law Firm. Rose Law Firm in Arkansas was synonymous with greatness. Me being from Memphis, not growing up with any lawyers, I had no idea what Rose Law Firm meant to people of Arkansas. come to find out, Rose Law Firm is the same law firm Hillary Clinton worked. There's not many black lawyers who ever had the experience working at the Rose Law Firm. And I was hearing things because I was consistently getting awards in law school that, you better thank God for affirmative action. You only got this because you're friends with the dean. It was more to do with who they thought I was as opposed to my academic prowess, my academic ability, my ability to understand the material and apply it to paper. And I didn't like it. But what I inherently understood was it's in each and every one of us to achieve if we believe it. We have to utilize the tools that God give us to get to where we are destined to be. Now, that's on us. But you can't convince me that God made people who could not be successful in this world if we use what we have. And that's all I've been doing, trying to use what I have to put people in a better position because I understand that I'm in this position because people sacrifice to help me get to where I am.
Your parents have played such an instrumental role in where you are today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so this year I know has been especially difficult for you
Yeah.
with the passing of your father and your nephew. How have those personal losses, shaped your perspective on leadership and just your desire to continue to serve?
I think it just wasn't my father or my nephew. So in May, it was one of my mentors, Carl Johnson Jr., his father, and kind of ushered me into politics. And then in August, it was Julian Bolton. If you know me about politics, you're going to say, hey, Julian Bolton, J.B. Smiley. It's just what it was going to be. He passed in August. So it was, losing all of them within 90 to 120 days. It was rough. I was speaking about a month ago, and I was getting ready to go give a speech, and there was about 400 people, and I just, sadness overcame me. Had to embrace it, and I was like, man, what Julian tell me to do, or my daddy? It was like, put one foot in front of the other. You get up and you be a man. You gonna speak to the people because they need you to lead in this moment. But it's trying to find ways to do what they all strive to do. Leave the world, leave their job, leave their community better than they found it. And it's my belief that I think that's the thing that we all should be striving to do if we truly care about people. And I always thought I was going to go off and work in some big law firm and make a lot of money, but it was the call to service that kind of took control of my life and how I move and how I find ways to use my skills to pour into other folks.
I also think when you are navigating a crisis, showing how you navigate
Oh
that,
yeah.
to your constituents and to your community will also, indicate what type of leader you are.
Yeah, and during that time, what I learned, my team gives me a hard time, but sometimes you just got to trust other people. You can do your best as a leader, but sometimes you have to step out of the way and allow the people you chose to be around you to do what they are destined to do. Like I surround
Absolutely.
myself with some powerful black women. I give them a hard time and vice versa. But, I truly believe that they have my best interests at heart, but also the best interests of our community. So you got a lot of them folks to lead while you trying to find ways to navigate grief. Grief is a real thing. Shout out to all the caregivers out there.
Certainly.
That's something unreal. Changing the diapers of your parents is something that, we don't want to go through, but it's literally the circle of life. It's how we pay tribute to the folks who did so much for us. So grateful for that experience in terms of understanding who's in it with me because you don't know.
Yeah.
In this world, you get some stabbed in the back a little bit, but you also see the people who are there with you. And I'm grateful to see the people who are in this struggle with me.
Amazing. So you also ran for Tennessee governor
Woo!
back in 2022.
Lord Jesus.
Woo! And you ultimately lost to Governor Bill Lee. Looking back, what lessons did you take away from that campaign and that you're going to bring to this mayoral race?
I think we've already showed some of the lessons we took away, but I think the most important thing that I've learned, in addition to ability to connect to people, is just learning about different communities. The way that people see Memphis. You listen to the gentleman who occupies the White House talk about our community as a training ground for soldiers. It's kind of crazy that people view the people of Memphis as enemy combatants. It's ridiculous. But what I learned when traveling across the state in communities similar to Memphis in terms of their, I guess, economic disposition, meaning they don't have resources like us. No, ultimately, everybody's gonna want the same thing. They want good schools, they want roads that they can drive on, they want to make a decent living, and when they retire, they want to have some money set aside so that they can continue living a decent life. Like that is universal what people want. What we differ on is how to get there. So
Mhm.
what I've tried to find a way to do is communicate to every single body the same way. So if you hear me talking in Memphis, or you hear me talking in the Tri-Cities, or you hear me talking in Davis County, the conversation is gonna be the same because ultimately we just want what's best for our community. And what we have to do is find ways to talk plain to folks. Stop using these big words. Just talk to
Mhm.
people like you're gonna talk around the kitchen table. And that's ultimately what we have to do as a community. And what I've learned on the trail for governor is also once you build a relationship, that relationship will follow you everywhere you go. And what we've been able to do in this race, we've been tapping on our relationships in East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and even relationships in outside of Shelby County and inside of Shelby County to amplify our message about what Shelby County should be.
I know on the trail, well, first of all, we know that racism is just never ending.
Oh yeah.
And I did read that on the trail, you experience a lot of racism in those,
Yeah,
those
buddy.
rural areas. Talk about that a little bit.
I mean, from getting messages of sending monkeys and bananas to going to a particular county. And when I get there, the state troopers are outside. And, me not knowing, I walk up to them and ask them, are they coming to hear me speak? And they quickly told me no. And I'm like, so why are you here? Here to keep you safe. Like literally to keep me safe. So they followed me from inside of the venue to when we left, they followed us outside the county. And the goal was to make sure we had safety. My campaign manager at the time was like, we gonna stay in a different part of the town when we come back to East Tennessee. But I do think it's important for us to consistently have conversations with people who don't understand where we come from as Memphians. I carry Memphis, whether I was in Oaxaca, Mexico, to the Philippines, to Nashville and East Tennessee, wherever I've been, and I put Memphis before everything else because I don't view the attention that I receive as something that's just about me. My goal is to show people what Memphis is. And I think we are beautiful people. We're intelligent people. We're
Yes.
resilient people. We truly can rewrite how people view the South. I think people just don't understand the South. And everywhere I go, no matter how many awards I get, they gonna say, "Oh, that's Memphis," and I'm good with that.
Okay. So you serve as the chair of the city council
Chair emeritus, that means I was the chair last year.
last year. Okay. And
Last year.
then now, but currently you over the Public Works, Solid Waste, and General Service
Absolutely.
Committee. So looking at your time in city government, what accomplishments stand out to you as proof that you are ready to lead
Absolutely.
Shelby County?
I get to talk my talk. I've been waiting on
Talk
this
it.
moment.
Well, come on.
um, but I think when you look at what we've been able to do on the council and compare it to some of the people who have predated me, who served on the city council or who served on the county commission, we are in a unique positions. We passed more resolutions, but we also created lasting programs that will outlast my time on council. And I think that's how you judge what leadership looks like. Are they just passing resolutions? Are they just giving keys to the city or recognizing some people in the community, or they're creating lasting programs that will prove beneficial to the people of Memphis or prove beneficial to the people of Shelby County. One of the things that we did that I'm proud of is probably my favorite
Okay.
is Memphis Academy of Civic Engagement. I'm gonna tell you why that's important. When I got elected in 2019 and took office in 2020, they gave us 2 days of orientation. 2 days of orientation to talk about a budget that's about $800 million at the time. A little bit more than that now. And those 2 days, we heard from every director in the city of Memphis. We heard from all the quasi-government agencies. We heard from the finance people and said, now you have the keys to the city. Now go make it better. That's not enough time to prepare you to lead a community. So I was like, there's a gap. But I also saw that when you're seeking office as a young person or seeking leadership roles as a young person or a newer person to government, there was a disconnect. The old guard wasn't ready to pass the torch, and the younger folks wasn't willing to bridge the gap. It was like us versus them, as opposed to understanding that we are a community that is reflective of the general population. It's young, old, it's black, white, it's
Mhm.
gay, it's straight, it's Asian, it's Hispanic. Our community is a melting pot that includes every single body. And if we're truly going to have a government that provides for the general welfare of its people, that government has to be informed. So what I wanted to do is create a program that informs citizens about what it is to serve, but also give them a general understanding of the budget. Because the budget is the governing document of the city. It tells you where the money is going to go, who's going to get it, and what services they should be provided generally. So we created a program called the Memphis Academy of Civic Engagement. It's a 7-week course that gives you budget 101. It tells you about all about the fire division, police division. It tells you about public works, solid waste, sanitation. It tells you about everything you need to know about city government. At the end, there's a graduation. It's open to the public. You can apply. Please apply. It's a
Is there a
great program.
cost to?
Free.
It's free.
Free. So the first few years, the city council underwrote the program, and it was a piloting program. Because when you give people information, there's some elected officials who don't want you to do that, because what you're doing is you're arming people with knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and information so that one day they could potentially take your position. But my belief
But in
is
this climate, it seems that we need to be informed and educated.
absolutely. And also, these positions don't belong to any one person. Our job is to find out how we can put people in a better position, but also give them information. So the first 2 or 3 years, it was a pilot program. Glad to say that now it's no longer a pilot program. It is fully adopted in the city budget. It's something that's going to last a lot longer than me, which I'm grateful for, because our citizens who participate in the program, we do about 90 citizens a year. Yeah, 90 citizens a year.
How
What
many
happens?
people can apply to be in the program at one
Anybody can
time?
apply, and then they accept about 30 to 35 people each
Okay.
time.
Let them know where they can go to.
You can go to Memphis City Council, go to memphiscitycouncil.gov, or go to the City of Memphis website and look for Memphis Academy of Civic Engagement. You'll see an application. Please apply, get the information so that you can be prepared to lead in our community, whether you're going to serve a nonprofit, or whether you're going to serve on the neighborhood association in your community, or do what I hope you do, seek office once you have the tools needed to do or become an effective leader. So Memphis City Council website or the City of Memphis website, look for Memphis Academy of Civic Engagement. So that's one program. It's dope. I tell you, it is dope, led by the Honorable Tawan Stout Mitchell and Sharika Himes. They're great people, ready to give you all the information you
Memphis,
need.
get informed, be educated, go sign up today.
That's just one, though.
That's
But the
just one.
second one,
Okay.
that I love this one almost as much as I love Memphis Academy of
Mhm.
Civic Engagement. And that's, I think it was 2023. Councilman Jones, former councilman, former chair of the Memphis City Council, Martavius Jones,
Mhm.
and I had an idea. So the budget process is about finding money to fuel causes. One of the things that we saw in our community is all of our resources seem to go to support these large companies, but we don't do enough time to support small businesses.
Mhm.
And the largest employer in Shelby County isn't the big Fortune 500 companies.
Mhm.
It's small businesses. So, I may have found $1.5 million in the budget that we
I'm
weren't
listening.
using, and we used their money. I actually called
Small
Ernest
business
Strickland.
owner.
We called Ernest Strickland and said, "Hey, I may have some money.
May.
How quick can you create a program that supports small businesses with this criteria?" He said, "How long do I have?" I said, "Man, if I found it, somebody else gonna find it too."
Mhm.
And I think it was within 2 days, I had a bare bones proposal about a program to support small business. We used the $1.5 million to help fund what now is the Black Chamber's Small Business Booster Program. And because of that initial $1 million seed money, we've been able to sustain that small business program so far. And we're focused on how we can help small business in our community. But it's just not about giving them a grant,
Mhm.
because grants are one-time funding. It'll help you in that moment. We give them technical training so that they can scale up. And when you look at the number of businesses that went through, whether it's the Four-Way Grill or whether it's some of the other small businesses that go through it, They all talk about the technical training, but also how the grant funds at the end allowed them to keep their doors open, but it made them feel more prepared to tackle what happens in this very harsh economy. But those programs will outlive me. We've done some other things, whether it's grant funding to nonprofits, whether it's making sure that the law enforcement officers have the resources they need, whether it's providing sanitation with dignity and also the pay that they deserve while they're serving our community. But I'm more proud about the programming, because programming is how we connect people to
Mhm.
resources, and those resources go back into the community and also gives those small business the ability to scale up and hire, guess what, people in our community. And I think those programs will probably be one of the two of the things that define the legacy of Councilman Smile.
And how can they apply for that program?
Well, you go to Black Chamber. The president is Mr. Ernest Strickland. The administrator is Jasmine Bowden, and they do a phenomenal job running their program. And they consistently get funds from the city. But it all started with us finding $1.5 million
Mhm.
and say, hey, create a program geared towards small businesses in our community. And we've been running ever since. I show up and do either the graduation or the initial cohort, just saying thank you for participating. Continue to reach out to the city. We want to be allies with you as we find ways to strengthen our economy and put people back to work.
Serving in office is just part of your DNA.
Absolutely.
That's your heart posture. And you're creating programs that are sustainable and long lasting
Absolutely.
for the citizens. Why do you feel now is the time for you to run for Shelby County
Well,
Mayor?
well, let's go back to 21. And one of the things I always talk about. So in 21, I think it was 21 at the end of 20. I talked about, the word consolidation. Consolidation scares people. Some of the more seasoned folks in our community, consolidation means losing power, losing autonomy over the things that are important to you. And what the community consistently said is we're not ready to consolidate. But when I look at the inefficiencies we have on the city government, and also the fact that the constituents, the people in the community, don't know who's responsible for what, whether it's city or county government, my belief is if we can find a way for city government and county government to walk in step side by side, where there's as my mentor would say, Julian Bolton, rest in peace, synergy among city and county government,
Mhm.
our community will thrive.
Mhm.
We look at the fact
That's
that,
one of the biggest hurdles I
yeah,
think we're facing today.
absolutely. We look at, the poor infrastructure we have, whether we're hitting a potholes every other turn. We look at, the lack of stability in whether it comes to our school system. We look at the fact that there's no true vision for bringing good paying jobs to the city of Memphis. There's not a government entity truly controlling that space. We allow outside entities to try to control this space. But guess what? They have to rely on city and county government to make that happen. I just believe that we need a different type of leadership, a leadership that's going to be, in the words of Commissioner Charlie Caswell, visible, valuable, and vocal in our community about issues that are pressing. We can't go ghost when our community is calling for someone to stand up. I've knocked on doors all across this county, and what they consistently tell me is we want our leaders to have backbone, but we also want our leaders to be compassionate, but also have a level of competency when it comes to navigating the spaces that we have to navigate.
Well, that segues into my next question. If elected, what would be your top three priorities in your very first year, and how would you plan to fund them without placing too heavy of a burden on taxpayers?
Yeah, so I think right off the bat, I think I talked about one. I think we have to focus on small businesses in Shelby County. If we want a community that thrives, we have to support the economic engine. For me, it's small businesses in our community. We have to focus on putting small businesses in a position so they can scale up. Because then the next thing, so small businesses
Mhm.
ties into the second thing, public safety. If you look at any statistic, whether you're talking to Sheriff Floyd Bunner, Deputy Chief uh, Anthony Buckner, or whether you're talking to Chief C.J. Davis or the Memphis Police Association or the Deputy Sheriff's Association, they're going to tell you the same thing I'm about to tell you now, but they don't put it like this. People with dollars in their pocket are less likely to commit crime. But guess who's going to hire the people committing the most crime? It's going to be the small business owners. They're
Mhm.
going to hire them because they're rooted and grounded in our community. We
Mhm.
give them the resource they need to scale up.
Mhm.
They're going to hire the people out there committing crime who really are committing crimes of desperation. You put them to work, crime will continue to go down. So we talk about public safety has to be two for me. Economic viability, economic prosperity is number one. And then the third one, I think we have to figure out how do we address. Third one's going to be like 3A, 3B. How do
Okay.
we fix the land bank and getting those properties that are not on the tax roll back on the tax roll so we don't increase taxes? But then we also have to talk about what are we doing in our jails? How can the county government make sure that the folks who go to work in the jails
Mhm.
and the folks who are housed in the jails are in a safe environment? I think those are the things that we have to focus on. And I'm going to go back to one because I think one is the most important thing that hits on all of those things, which is how do we support businesses in our community? I think the county mayor should be focused on being the chief economic officer in our entire county. The county mayor has to go get the jobs and make sure the jobs are paying people a livable wage, and all the other things will ultimately fall in line. You have to collaborate, but you also have to go get the jobs. If you don't do that, you will fail as county mayor.
The Black Chamber, as you mentioned, has resources and programs to help small businesses.
Absolutely.
But we know one of the number one concerns or challenges is capital.
Absolutely.
So how do you plan?
I'm on it.
Liz, you are ready.
I'm on it. Because I just think that you can't just run for this office without a clear vision of what you want to see done.
Mhm.
And I'm very clear on where I think our community needs to go.
You are clear. I have your push card here. Leadership, safety, and security are your main
I ain't even look at it. I just
focus.
know what I want to talk about. That's a great push card. Shout out to
Let's do something together.
yeah.
So not let's do something personal, individual, is let's do something together.
Yeah, that's why I talked about collaboration, because the county mayor doesn't have as much autonomy as a city mayor does, but the county mayor has to be willing to collaborate. I've already had conversations with the folks in Militant, Bartlett, Collierville. I think we have to have these conversations about what we want to accomplish as a community. And I say community, I'm not just talking about Memphis. I'm not just talking about Germantown, Bartlett. I'm talking about all of the 901. How can we do that? And I think that's really important as we go forward.
That's a good question. So how do you realistically plan to bridge that?
So I think my background is evident of what I bring to the table different than anyone else. If you look at
Do
where
tell.
if you look at where I was born, you're gonna say, oh, he was born in the heart of South Memphis. He spent his time in Whitehaven. You're gonna look at that I came to South Memphis every summer with my dad. You're gonna say, oh, then he went to East Memphis. Oh, then he graduated from Bolton High School. I've been all over this county. People from Bartlett to Millington to Arlington to East Memphis, Tennessee, they're gonna say they had an experience, a relationship with me from the very beginning. And I think collectively, those relationships, the new relationships that I'm forming, would allow me to get those mayors into the room and talk about what will our plan be. Because right now, let me tell you what happens. The people in Memphis, city leadership, they're gonna go to the state government with an axe. The city council is gonna go to state government with an axe. Militant is gonna go to the state government with the axe. All the municipalities in Shelby County are gonna go to the state government with an axe. And then everybody's gonna get a little bit. But if we say, hey, here's our priorities as the 901 and go to the state government axe, I have a sneaky suspicion that we collectively will get what we want. We cannot be divided anymore. Because as you see, the gentleman who sits in the White House frowns upon us. Some of the person who sits in the governor's office frowns upon the city of Memphis. And some of the municipalities get what they want. But when we come with one collective vision, one collective goal, I have a sneaking suspicion that our communities will reap. And then I do want to hit on how do we accomplish the goal of supporting small businesses when they lack capital. We create programs that partners those small businesses with some of the majority firms. I know that state government and federal government doesn't like the word DEI. That's fine. But there's ways that city of Baltimore, city of Atlanta have bridged that gap when it comes to capital to allow those small businesses to tap into some capital they wouldn't get because the grants or the loans they're seeking may or may not be backed by philanthropy or may not be backed by city or county government. There's ways to do it. I want to talk in detail, but I already know how to do it. I just need the people of Shelby County to give me an
A
opportunity.
good idea is when someone applies for a business license,
Don't make it
here
hard.
is a packet that's gonna help you follow these steps, maybe enroll in this program. There's need to be some initial steps before they actually launch out into the deep and don't have that sustainability.
And also, you got to have, the directors and
Mhm,
deputy directors and the folks in those divisions willing to help people. What we've seen consistently with my time in office, and I think some of those folks have gone on, when people call in, our government isn't that helpful. They want you to already know the answers. But a
mhm.
lot of times in the city of Memphis, these are first-time business owners. These are people who've been doing their business a certain way, and they say, you know what? Let me legitimize my business. They just don't know. We have to understand that we are the resource for people seeking to do better. The majority of our taxpayer dollars come from the city of Memphis. But we don't do a good job of making sure that the taxpayers are getting the benefit of the bargain. We pay taxes, we want services. If you're paying taxes in Bartlett, the city of Bartlett is going to give you services. Pay taxes in Germantown, the city of Germantown is going to give you
Mm-mm.
service. You pay taxes to the county government. Is the county government truly giving you services? I don't think people know that. And we got to make sure that people know that the city and the county government is here to provide resources, but also to make sure you're informed about how to, whether you're applying for uh, county business taxes or whether you're trying to figure out how to uh, scale up or apply for a grant with the Edge Board.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. Our job is to serve people, and we have to make sure that every single person who wears their county badge around their neck or in their pocket or in their wallet is there to serve people, and they're not. We have to weed them out.
I love that. I'm gonna be applying for all of the
She said,
programs.
"All of them,
All
y'all."
of the programs. Recently, you were on the Roland Martin
Oh,
show,
yeah, yeah.
and I know that you were adamant that the National Guard did
Absolutely not.
not need a presence here in Memphis, Tennessee. Share your perspective on that.
I still don't think they need to be here. Um, when you understand the person or understand the thought process of the people who are sending something to your community, and when you know it's not good, you automatically are apprehensive about it.
Okay.
There's a guy named Brian Stevenson. He
Mhm.
consistently says, it's attorney actually.
Yes.
He says you cannot address the problem if you're not in close proximity with it. What I'm saying is the solution for a community like ours will be provided by or put forth by someone who is in close proximity with our community. Someone who has not walked the streets of Memphis, someone who does not understand the complexities of our community, whether it's economic hardship or whether it's just the need for wraparound support, cannot fix the problems in our community. If you look at the successes that the city of Memphis has or the successes the county has within the last 5 months when we experienced record low in crime, it didn't come from Washington. It didn't come from Nashville. These are homegrown solutions. And also, if you hear what the gentleman who occupies the White House said, how he views communities like ours, hey, let's send the troops there and treat it as testing grounds. Well, the troops go to places and they are dealing with real problems, dealing with enemy combatants, meaning these people are sent to kill and they're preparing to enter war. This is not a war zone. We're not a war zone. We're people who are dealing with real issues that a temporary um, station for the guards, a temporary station for the federal troops is not going to fix the systemic problems in our community because when they leave in that 30 days, then what?
Well, playing devil's advocate, uh,
I love a good debate.
playing devil's advocate. Why do we even get to this point? Even though the press, the media says that crime is down, it doesn't appear to be that
Mhm.
crime
That's
is
fair.
down.
I always say
So, how, if we had never got to this point, then we wouldn't even have someone to even come in and send troops.
that may be your belief, but then I would tell you politics.
Okay.
When you are the Republican president and you don't want to leave office, And the most crucial time for a president is midterms elections.
Mhm.
And the largest demographic of Black people in the state of Tennessee is in Memphis, Tennessee.
Mhm.
Memphis votes Democrat. How do you keep them in the house? Send them something they want. What I would consistently tell you, if you look at what the gentleman who occupies the White House says, all the places he want to go, there are Black communities, minority communities that have a large population of people who vote Democratic.
But outside of that, people wanna feel safe.
This doesn't make you feel safe. This makes you feel
But
uneasy.
the illusion is they want to feel safe. So if a person, who says, because you read on social media, you read, the comments, everyone is saying, "Oh, we want the National
Everyone's
Guard."
not saying that. Everyone's not saying that.
Everyone's not saying that.
Everyone, absolutely not.
But the
There's a
ones that
poll on
say it, do
Action
you
News
feel
5.
that just because they feel safe just to have another, presence here?
No,
Because right now we don't feel safe.
no. I will tell you, you don't feel safe. I had a conversation today, and you may feel somewhat uneasy, but now you feel scared. It's a difference between I may not feel safe and
Mhm.
feeling scared. You're scared for your loved ones because all it's gonna take is a busted tail light,
Mm.
a cracked windshield. Then you're getting pulled over with someone with an AK-47 on their back or a long gun on their back, and next thing you know, they trapped in the federal system. You're concerned about your young cousins, your young nieces and nephews.
Mhm.
There's no workaround when you're dealing with the federal system. There are some people advocating. Like, if you just look at how many families are being ripped apart by federal agents, that's not safety. That's terror.
And we also know that comes with that will be harassment.
That's terror. That's terror. And you don't address trauma by adding more trauma. When someone's experiencing trauma, and there's people in this community that experience trauma, you address it by love. You address it by affection. It's like you want to whoop a community for having challenges. You don't whoop someone that's already struggling. You say, let me give you a leg up. Let me give you a helping hand. What are your issues? Let me provide you wraparound support. Matter of fact, we see the crimes going down. What can we do to support those efforts so that people truly feel safe in their homes and their communities? You don't say, let me go put a large presence up that's not going to really address any systemic problems, and when we leave, crime may go back up. No, something's working in Memphis. Let's figure out how we can help. Or you take the approach they're taking and let me put on a show in Memphis, arrest some people for minor offenses, lock some people up in the federal prison system. When our Shelby County Sheriff says, hey, we already don't have room in our jails, then you continue to strain our budget because instead of locking people up in 201 Poplar, we have to reach out to Core Civic. We have to reach out to the Mississippi prison system. We have to reach out to all these other prison systems and say, hey, where can we house? So when we house people, guess what we also have to do? We have to cut checks. But our budget's already strained. This is not about helping our community. This is about control, and it's about undermining a Black community. I am of the mindset that there's no one on a horse that's going to come in and save us. We will save ourselves. This is not help.
What's the plan now? They're already deployed here. What can local leadership do to help ease us?
One, providing information. The difficulty that we have as a local leadership, we don't have any information. So since the local leadership doesn't have information they need, we need to be leaning into some of the nonprofit communities or nonprofit groups in our communities that are on the ground. Whether you're talking about Micah, whether you're talking about Vincent Dario's 901, like there's communities and there's nonprofits in our community that's providing resources. Memphis Urban League providing information.
We do have nonprofits, but now with the federal government shutdown, what does that lead us?
They're still working. There's nonprofits in our community that are working to provide information. Memphis for All, they're providing information. Micah's providing information. Equity Alliance is providing information, but not only information, but resources. We have to support those institutions, those nonprofits in our community and say, you know what? They're here. But how can we support the people who will be targeted, who will ultimately find themselves potentially at risk of being caught up in the federal system? We have to protect us. We have to keep each other safe.
Okay. So another recent development is the County Commission's decision to move the school board election.
Yeah, they're going to lose that.
Coincided. So how do you feel about that decision?
It makes no sense. I'm going to tell you why it doesn't make any sense. One, from a legal standpoint,
Y'all see,
If
he
you
didn't let
look,
me finish my question, but go ahead.
yeah, because I have opinions about everything. She's right. But one, it doesn't make any sense. Legally, I believe their action is unconstitutional, which I'm pretty sure they will find. This will
So it's gonna
be
backfire.
absolutely. So do you remember when a similar conversation was had by the state? They said, hey, we're going to remove the people in office who we didn't, the fact we're going to remove the people in office who made a decision that we did not like. And they went through their entire process about removing school board members. Ultimately, what they decided is they couldn't do it because they consulted competent legal counsel to say, hey, you cannot do this. This is unconstitutional. You cannot abridge the term of duly elected members of an elected body. What you can do is you can appoint a board that kind of oversee them, but you couldn't remove them. If the state understood that they couldn't remove them, why do our local elected leaders think we can?
Mm.
The state understood this.
Mm-hmm.
Why would our local elected leaders think
And
that?
as an attorney, you understand that.
I just understand litigation. What I do know is if the school board or the school district decides to file a lawsuit, this is going to be tied up in the court for a very long time.
Mhm.
And we won't get that result. I think this was more of a stunt as opposed to something substantive. And what our community is calling for is something substantive that will actually address their concerns. This doesn't address the concern. This is just a stunt. Will be met with litigation. They'll be in court for a very long time. And I believe that it's unconstitutional.
Public safety remains the number one concern for many residents. What makes your crime strategy different from what's already been tried by the city and by the county?
I think one of the things that we have to do, we have to get away from these imaginary county lines. I think we spend so much time concerned with who jurisdiction this is or who area this is that we oftentimes do our community a disservice by not being willing having a willing collaborative effort. It's let me call this person first, see if I can go in the jurisdiction. The last time I checked, my zip code is 901, just like everyone else. You show up to a scene, you serve people until the corresponding jurisdiction or corresponding agency gets there. That's what we have to do. But we don't have that right now because we don't have the right type of leadership. You sit down with the leaders and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. What type of agreement we need to have, what type of handshake we need to have to make sure that public safety is at the forefront of everyone's mind. And it can't just be the constituents. It has to be the leaders in the departments, the leaders in the divisions. Get away from those community lines. But also we have to figure out ways to take guns out of our community. We have a proliferation of guns in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when I was the chairman of the city council, I led an effort to remove guns from our community. Now, there are some people who are bought and sold by the Tennessee Rifle Association and the
Mm-hmm.
National Rifle Association who did not want to see that effort take place. And, they did everything they could to push back against our effort to remove guns from our community. So ultimately, the city council made the decision to put a gun referendum on the ballot. The gun referendum essentially said is, we don't want long guns in our community, assault rifles in our community. We want red flag laws, which is laws that allow citizens to say, hey, this person may commit a crime with a gun. Figure out a way to get those guns. We put that type of legislation on the ballot. The state came in and removed it. We filed a lawsuit. We won. And the people of Memphis voted resoundingly in favor of our gun reform legislation. That sent a clear message to the people in Nashville who don't know our community, who
Mm-hmm.
don't walk the streets in
Mm-hmm.
our community, that we want gun reform, that we value the lives of our brothers and sisters in Memphis and Shelby County. And we led that fight because our job as elected officials is ultimately to bend to the will of the people. The people told us they want gun reform, so we fought for that. And what we would do going forward is fight for safer streets, fight to take guns off our street, but also work in a very collaborative effort with every law enforcement agency in Shelby County so that we are not respecting these imaginary county lines, but we're respecting the life of people.
So at the end of the day, voters have heard many promises before. Um, what makes your candidacy and your ability to actually deliver?
I don't waver.
Okay.
So you're going to see a lot of people on the stump, whether they're running for city council, county
Mhm.
commission, or all these other positions. Majority of them will try to ride the fence.
Okay.
They're going to be hot one day, cold one day, but ultimately just be lukewarm. There's a book that people like to read that says, if you're lukewarm, I spit you out of my mouth.
Mm.
What I do is I do my research. I talk to people in the community. But once I make a decision, I'm going to be there. And then if I decide that my decision is wrong, I'll be very clear on it. Then I would change course. I'm not going to waver because my decision is based off what I know to be true, the people I talk to, which is my constituents, but also how I feel about a particular situation. All of those things, information available, all of those things guide my decision. I'm not going to waver on important issues. I'm going to be present and I'm going to be accountable. Like, I'm one of the most accessible politicians you will see in the city of Memphis. I'm everywhere having conversations, whether it's on social media, although my campaign manager kind of gets bothered when I have those conversations, or whether I'm out eating at the Four-Way Grill or Groovy Gratitude or Porch and Party. It doesn't matter where I am. I'm having conversations with people. I'm accessible. You're going to be able to reach me. We're going to have a conversation. Whether you agree with me or not, you're going to know where I stand. You won't be able to say that about many politicians.
You just said that you listen to your constituents.
Absolutely. I think that's our job.
What is it that they want?
Depends on what issue. It changes. I can tell you about potholes. They want them things filled. They want us to allocate more money to filling up potholes. Well, Young's first administration, we doubled the amount of potholes we filled. If you're talking about community safety, we consistently fought for our law enforcement officers to live within Shelby County. The council voted for that. The state overrided us. So I think if you understand what the issue is, to go back to your constituents, say, what's your thoughts about this? If you talk about the city of Memphis and the importance of the Ask Me Labor Union, that's the union that King came down here to march with and in support of. The fact that they're going to lose their building. When I found that they're going to lose the building, my constituents said, hey, don't let it happen. I stepped up and made sure they receive an allocation to make sure they stay in their building for the long term. Like, you have to be willing to have those hard conversations. Sometimes you may not agree with the person, but I think it's the lawyer in me. I always want to understand the other side of the argument. You understand that you are able to come or formulate a better response or come to a better decision.
So is there anything that I haven't asked that you want viewers to know?
I do want people to know this. I think we are at a very crucial moment in our community. I'm going to look directly to the camera. And I think the decisions that we make in May of 2026 and August of 2026.
Which is early voting in May.
Early voting is in April. Primary election is in May. The general election is in August. I think this decision will be absolutely crucial to trajectory of our community for a very long time. We're at a pivotal moment. We can choose to do something we've already done, choose the cookie cutter candidate, or we can choose the straight talking candidate that that's going to keep his word, that's going to fight very hard, who will be an advocate for the issues that are important to people. If you want small business growth, if you want someone who's going to promote public safety, you want someone who's going to figure out how to fix the land bank issues, you're going to vote J.B. Smiley. If you want something that's less than stellar, you're going to vote anyone else.
Councilman, thank you for your time. Vote for jbsmiley.com.
Absolutely. And don't forget to tell a friend to tell 10 that in 2026, we're going to vote J.B. Smiley in.